Louisiana's Commissioner of Administration, Jay Dardenne, is here. Good morning, Mr. Jay. How are you today? Erin just pointed out to me, she said during the commercial break, it's going to be for I guess on the House side, it's going to be sort of a working behind the scenes day today.
And then getting back to work tomorrow?
What are you at all involved in that? What goes on behind the scenes over bills, over things that are so controversial and so heated?
Well, I'm involved to some extent. I'm not involved as much as a lot of other folks in the administration are, but obviously when the legislature's in session, people are talking, and when they're not actually on the floor debating or in a committee meeting, people are talking, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that in the process. This is a very difficult challenge for everybody involved in this, and people have to talk. So today is not really designed to create that as much as it is recognition that one of the members of the House's mother passed away in Bogalusa, and a lot of members want to go, and that's a pretty good haul from Baton Rouge. And I think there's also a belief that there needs to be a little cooling off time here for some discussions to take place, because we're at a very fragile time in this process. There's only a couple of days left that the House can move bills out to the Senate. So tomorrow morning, the House will come back in at, I think, 10 o'clock, and something will happen tomorrow. I mean, tomorrow's a day that they've got to move bills along, and I think you'll see that happen.
The Speaker, Taylor Barra, had some pretty harsh words for the governor, saying that he hasn't offered a clear direction and that the governor needs to work more closely with them. And your response to that, I know you've talked to the governor about this. You know, I don't like all this name calling. I know y'all don't either.
Well, it's not particularly productive, and I thought it was unfortunate that Taylor did that. But the governor met with Taylor right after that, and I was in on that discussion, and there are productive discussions taking place. I think it was an unfair characterization of the governor's role in this. He's been very proactive and has obviously put a proposal out there, and I think some things are going to happen.
Is the governor sticking with the revenue neutral stance that he's had all along, with the penny sales tax rolling off, but the bills that are coming out of the Ways and Means Committee on the House side, is that all still revenue neutral, or are the citizens of Louisiana looking, if some of these pass, paying more?
Well, it's really less than revenue neutral. The governor's asked for $994 million to replace what the financial folks agree is about $1.3 billion rolling off. When you look at what the estimates are now. So it's actually less. It is revenue neutral, and it's less than what actually would be collected if we were going to continue what we had, which can't happen because these taxes, of course, roll off the book. So from the get-go, the governor has said, look, I just want to replace what you voted for temporarily a couple of years ago.
The Legislative Black Caucus, they're getting blamed from some circles for derailing the session yesterday. They're calling for income tax structure changes in order to agree to keep a quarter of the penny sales tax on the books. In terms of derailing the session, do you think that's a little bit out of line?
Well, I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think what happened, as I appreciate it, is there was some concern that there was not a plan that raised $994 million, and so the caucus said, well, let's talk about brackets again in the income tax component of Louisiana structure. That's not going to happen. I don't see anybody going back to the brackets. That's kind of been taken off the table. The excess itemized deduction component of income tax is still on the table, and that's part of the plan that the governor put forward. That's part of the bill that came out of the House committee and will be debated tomorrow, and that is very much a part of the ultimate solution. It's a small numerical part of the solution, but it is a part of the solution.
But they are, and we've got the soundbite, we played it just a couple of minutes ago. They say they are willing to walk, that it may, unless, I mean, what I heard the Black Caucus guys say, if we don't get this, we just might walk. What is?
I don't think that'll happen. I don't think that will happen.
Let me ask you about there's also some debate about, Alan Seabaugh put an amendment on the quarter penny to make it go off the books in 2021. Is that something the governor supports, or you support?
No, it's not. The governor has said pretty clearly we need a permanent solution, and now is the time to get that permanent solution, and a 3-year sunset is not a permanent solution. So the governor's been pretty clear, again, from the outset, that let's fix this now. Let's not create a situation where it's temporary and Wall Street looks at it and says, there goes Louisiana again. They can't make up their mind what they want to do. They can't fix things. And we think that's a wrong way to do this. We need to create a permanent solution now, as the task force recommended, and as most people in the legislature, I think, want to see happen. That is on the bill now, but that's in the first step of the process, and the governor believes we ought to fix this permanently. What
about the quarter penny? Is the governor come to terms with he might have to bend and go with that?
Well, yeah, I think there's a recognition that the sales tax component is very much a part of what's come out of the committee and what's part of the solution, and I do think that the penny in some lesser form is going to be part of the ultimate solution.
And as far as the governor, and you read one thing, but then we get somebody like you on the phone who's really in the know. As far as the governor's willingness, because I had read the governor may be willing to compromise on Medicaid requirements, possibly, and some other things. Where does he stand on that? Is this just stuff being made up in the media?
Well, no, the governor put that item in the call for the purpose of letting the legislature debate the bills and make decisions on what they wanted to see happen, and said repeatedly that he was going to work to support some type of work requirement and would be in favor of a bill that required a copay. It looks like that bill is dead, but the work requirement bill is in the process right now, and the governor said he would be supportive of something that the legislature could agree upon. There's a lot of different views on that. Both Republicans and Democrats are not united on language in that concept either, because there's a lot of devil in the detail in a bill that requires work or requires volunteerism, and how it's funded, and does it cost us more money to try and implement something like that, and all that's going to be part of the debate that takes place.
Jay, the quarter penny, there's a lot of critics who are saying, that quarter penny's going into the general fund. How can we be assured that TOPS will be safe and other things will be safe? They're leery when money just goes right into the general fund. Can you respond to that?
Sure. All the money that is being considered in the session is going to go into the general fund. I mean, that's not an issue. The money that's going to be raised will go into the general fund, and TOPS and Medicaid and higher education, all that's funded by general fund dollars. I mean, that's what we're talking about. The money that rolls off the books is general fund dollars, so the general fund dollars have to be replaced. So,
would you say that, pardon me, Mr. Joe, we're almost out of time. Would you say that as far as you're concerned, as far as the governor is concerned, any return, a state income tax increase, something resembling the old Stelly plan, is totally off the table, something that the governor would not even think about?
I think the excess itemized component of income tax is very much on the table, and that's the only thing I think that's on the table right now.